What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we started our new unit, threat data and intelligence. We just finished last week's unit with Cybersecurity Analysis 101, so we're on to unit 2, and the title is self-explanatory, or rather you will learn it if you're new about what's going on with threat data intelligence and intelligence and what it's all about. Sorry. Without further ado, let's get right into it. What is threat data and intelligence? Threat intelligence, also known as cyber threat intelligence, CTI, is a collection, analysis, and sharing of information about potential or current cyber threats. The goal is to help organizations understand who's attacking them, what tactics and tools are being used, what systems are at risk, and how to defend against these threats. The type of threat intelligence, right? So we have 4 here. We have strategic, which is high-level trends for executives; tactical, specific indicators of compromise, such as IP addresses and hashes; your operational, context around ongoing attacks, so campaigns or actors; and then number 4, your machine-readable data for automatic defenses. And obviously, these are going to be very important for different strata of the organization. And each one of these types of intelligence has its own purpose. And the culmination of, threat hunting, sequestering data for analysis, and so on and so forth. What is data intelligence? So data intelligence is the process of collecting, analyzing, and using data to make informed business or security decisions. It is not just about threat data, it's about all organizational data, including the logs from firewall servers and applications, user behavior data, compliance and audit data. Why it matters? Why does it matter? Right? So it helps detect anomalies like unusual logins or data access. It powers SIM systems and machine learning analytics, and it informs business decisions on risk and resource allocation. How does it come together? So threat intelligence tells you what threats to look for, while data intelligence tells you what's happening in that environment. When combined, they help you detect advanced persistent threats, or APTs, those nation states that try to hack in to other nation states, prioritize alert based on real world risks, create better incident response plans, and staying ahead of evolving cyber criminal tactics. All right, what is open source intelligence, or OSINT, right? So open source intelligence is the process of collecting and analyzing publicly available information to produce actionable intelligence. Open source means, obviously, this data is legal and freely available. No hacking or breaching required for this, right? So your OSINT data is going to include anything from websites or blogs, social media, news articles and press releases, public records, government publications, and online forums and page sites such as Reddit and Pastebin. All right. How is OSINT used in cybersecurity? So there's 4 use cases of it, or main use cases rather. So number 1 is reconnaissance, so your pen testing or red teaming, right? So ethical hackers use OSINT to gather intel about targets, such as employee names, exposed credentials, IP addresses, or software in use before launching simulated attacks. So it kind of gives it a little bit, the hackers a little bit of information to play with before they actually breach into a particular system to get that hidden or secret information. This is part of the recon phase. It's part of the recon phase in the cyber kill chain, right? Number 2, threat hunting. So analysts use OSINT to monitor for data breaches, leak credentials, or chatter about threats on dark web forums and social media. Number 3, incident response. After an attack, OSINT helps teams identify indicators of compromise, attacker infrastructure, and potential future risks. Number 4, brand and executive protection. Security teams monitor public data for impersonations, domain spoofing or threats made against executives of the brand. And the popular OSINT tools, we got Maltego for visual link analysis, Shodan, which is the Google for other internet connected devices, Harvester is your email and subdomain harvesting, Spiderfoot is for your footprinting, and Google Dorking is advanced search queries to uncover the exposed data. And there's many more OSINT tools that you'll learn, especially if you go on the Reddit or / pen testing side of things. So that's just a little tidbit of which, open source tools are out there, right? Okay, so on to closed source intelligence. If you have your open source, you must have your closed source, right? Or proprietary. This is referring to information that is not publicly accessible and is typically collected by commercial vendors or private organizations or internal teams or pen testers. It's the opposite of open source, right? The type of intelligence is often purchased through subscriptions or licensing, generated by threat intelligence platforms provided by security vendors or information sharing and analysis centers or ISACs, which we'll go into a deeper detail later on in this presentation here. Examples of closed source intelligence. So commercial threat feeds such as from vendors such as FireEye or CrowdStrike. Private intelligence comes from, private or closed source intelligence rather comes from private honeypots or .NET monitoring, also comes from internal incident reports and security logs from other clients, and exclusive research on zero-day vulnerabilities or APT activity, right? So how is closed source intel used in cybersecurity? So there's 4 use cases or main use cases. Number 1, you can use it for threat detection and enrichment. So proprietary feeds that can provide early warnings to emergency threats that haven't been made public. So it kind of gives, that extra information, right? So people can get a quick alert on what's going on, especially when it comes onto new zero-day threats. Enhanced context. So vendors often analyze threats using machine learning and global telemetry, giving deeper context than the raw OSINT can offer. Incident response. So during investigations, access to private malware databases or sandbox results speeds up analysis and response. Or 4, threat intelligence sharing. Financial institutions and government contractors may share classified intel via closed channels or ISACs. Right, and then here we have a chart comparing closed versus open intel. Obviously, the differences is one is going to be more transparent, one is going to be highly transparent, one is going to be free more often than not, other one is going to be paid, so on and so forth. Right, so you can take to give you a couple more seconds to take this down or to look at it. All right, moving on. All right, so you got the closed versus open intel consideration, or what's the risks behind it. So it's just a continuation of the chart. So one is cost is going to be obviously a factor. With the closed feeds, it's going to be more expensive than the open feeds, right? Open source. False intel security, there's no feed that's perfect. So if you only rely on closed intel or open intel, you're going to miss out on certain things. Integration complexity. When you integrate closed source feeds into your SIM or SOAR, it can make it a more complex situation than it already is. Excuse me. Closed source intelligence gives organizations a competitive edge in cyber defense. It's like having a private radar system, faster alerts, deeper analysis, and better decision making. But it works best when combined with OSINT and internal data to form a full intelligence picture. All right, cool. So threat intelligence, right? Or threat assessment, intelligence assessment, threat intelligence assessment. Can't speak today. So this is very important. You got to remember this for the test. So assessing threat intelligence means evaluating the relevance, the accuracy, and the usefulness. Don't forget that, the relevance, the accuracy, and the usefulness of the threat data you receive, whether it comes from open sources or internal sources, vendors, etc., etc. So here's the 3 main things when it comes on to threat intelligence that you cannot forget, right? So the 3 questions you have to ask yourself when you're assessing threat intelligence, right? Can we trust this data? Is it trustworthy? Is it relevant to our environment, or is it relevant? Can we take action based on it? Is it timely? So can we trust the data? Is it relevant data? And is it timely? Those are the three most important things you got to worry about when it comes on to looking if this threat intelligence is good or not, right? Can we trust it? Is it relevant? And is it timely? So going on to the next topic, what is the threat indicator management and exchange? So the threat indicators, also called indicators of compromise, IOCs, are pieces of threat or forensic data that suggest malicious activity is happening or happened. These can be used by security tools and analysts to detect, prevent, and respond to threats. So examples of threat indicators are, IP addresses used in attacks, malicious URLs, registry key changes, or behavioral changes. Threat indicator management is the process of collecting threat indicators from various sources, validating those indicators, storing them in a structured way, tagging and prioritizing them based on relevance or risk, feeding them into security systems like SIEMs or EDRs or firewalls. And I'll give you a couple more seconds to look over, because I went over a few of the examples. But you get the picture, right? All right, moving on. What is a threat indicator exchange? So the threat indicator exchange refers to the sharing of indicators of compromise and threat data between organizations, tools, and communities to collaboratively defend against cyber threats. So this happens usually with tips like MISP, Threat Connect, or Anomaly, standard formats such as STIX, Structured Threat Information Expression, and TAXI, Trusted Automatic Exchange of Indicator Information, ISACs, information sharing and analysis centers that serve industry sectors like government sharing programs like the US DHS, automated indicator sharing, etc., right? So that's what's up with the threat indicator exchange, right? Gotta know that. All right, moving on. So we're going on to the threat intelligence lifecycle. So the CySA plus exam recognized threat intelligence lifecycle as part of the structured assessments. So when it comes onto the lifecycle, you need to know the requirements, the collection, processing, analysis, dissemination, and feedback, right? So the requirements define what the organization needs to know. Collection gathers data from multiple sources. Processing is normalizing or making everything the same or similar and clean the data, right? Standardizing it, another word for normalize. Analyze, identify patterns, draw conclusions. Dissemination, share intel with stakeholders. And feedback, evaluate effectiveness and refine collection strategy. And this all comes into play with threat intelligence, right? So you got to know the life cycle as well. Give you a few seconds to stop the video and copy it down. And all right, moving on. Ooh, I forgot to change the font on this one. All right, so the threat intelligence community. The Information Sharing and Analysis Centers, ISACs, told you I'd come back to this, helps IT owners, operators, and custodians share threat information as well as help members with various issues. The ISAC concept was introduced in 1998, and the CISA specifically mentions these three groups. So in ISAC groups, in finance, healthcare, and aviation. So you have the healthcare ISAC, the financial services ISAC, and the aviation ISAC. All right. Conclusion. This is just the very, 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 very tip of the iceberg when it comes down to threat intelligence. We briefly went over what, threat intelligence was, data intelligence, the use cases for them, the different types, etc., right? I know that this is a lot of information, especially for those coming straight after Security Plus. This might be overwhelming, but it's not bad. This is pretty much a groundwork of, the lifeblood or the data that you get as an analyst and what to do with it, where it goes, and how it's used and stuff like that, right? And yeah, if you guys like the video, don't forget to leave a comment and give this video a thumbs up. And if you have any criticisms, just let me know in the comment section below. With that being said, that's all I have for today. Until the next one, which should be sometime later this week. And that's all I got, guys. See you in the next video. Peace out.